Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the latest episode of the League 2 Hour. It is, somewhat astonishingly, episode 20. But as you can see, it's just myself this evening. Unfortunately, Lee has been called into work last minute. He's doing a night shift, so you're going to have to put up with me. So those comments, questions, ideas, anything will be vitally important tonight. So if you can do what you always do, hit like, hit subscribe, all that type of thing. Keep sharing it. And we will look back at all the action over the last few days. There was a Thursday fixture in League Two over the last weekend. So we'll go through each game individually and have a look at my top three goals of the week, player of the weekend. And then, as has been promised for the last few weeks, we are going to take a look at those runners and riders for the top scorer contenders in the division this season. 20 of you are already watching, so I appreciate that straight away. Thank you very much. And do some comments, and then we will crack on with the games. Luca talks. Don says, evening, big up, says Luca. You okay? Very well, thank you, mate. DFT Lewis is back in the chat. Evening. He says evening to everyone. Greg the Fish, Lee's favourite, says evening. Hope you're doing well, my friend. DFT Lewis says, was great to be at the game on Saturday. Gutting I wasn't able to run into you, Matt. Ronan Howe is a serious player, isn't he? Yeah, early signs very encouraging, and we'll get to that in a bit more detail in a little while. Luca says, MK Dons, to be honest, this week we got back to winning ways against Cheltenham. We've got Newport on Saturday. Simon Bradshaw back in the chat. Evening, Simon. Hope you're doing well, mate. We had a good weekend. Good evening to you as well, sir. Troy is in the chat. Evening, Troy says, evening, Matt. Chicken nuggets tonight. James is back. He says, evening, lads. Evening, mate. Just me, unfortunately, this evening. Lee, like I say at the top of the show, has been called into work. So he stood on a freezing cold road somewhere. You lot get the pleasure in my face. Pleasure. Liam says, hello, Matt. How are you? Very well. Thank you, mate. 3-point weekend always helps. Right. 24 of you now watching, which is excellent. So thank you very much. You know what you need to do. Right. Start, change your plan. We're going to look at every game. So we don't have to do feature games every week. That way we can give coverage of every one of the 24 teams in the division. First game of this weekend was Thursday night, and that was at the Wham Stadium. It was a game between Accrington Stanley and Salford City. And this one went the way of the home side, courtesy of Alex Henderson's 4th-minute thunderbolt. Yeah, really great win for Accrington Stanley, who continue to defy the odds, continue to punch well above their weight. I am one of those people that had them to really struggle and get relegated at the start of the season, and they keep proving me wrong. That slice of humble pie keeps getting bigger and bigger by the week. It's 3 wins on the spin for John Doolan's men now. The Ammies have now lost 2 of their last 3 to lose some momentum as we start to approach the final stages of the season. So if there are any Salford or Accrington fans in the chat, let me know whether promotion, the playoffs, is maybe an option for Accrington, and how concerned you are if you are a Salford City supporter. Obviously, anyone else can give their thoughts on the game as well. But yeah, opening game of the weekend, really good win for Accrington. And we might talk about Alex Henderson's goal a little bit later again. First games of the weekend were played at 12:30 on Saturday lunchtime. There were 2 fixtures. The first one was Crawley Town 0, Crewe Alexandra 1. This game was won by Tommy O'Reilly in the 77th minute. Very sharp volley to bring home the points for the Alex. Crawley, bright throughout. Plenty of new signings, haven't they? We've joked about Scott Lindsay bringing back the band over the last few weeks. Plenty of them were in the game, the likes of Orsi and Lalos and all that type of thing. But yeah, they missed loads of chances. They had 1 goal disallowed. Harry McCurdy did great on the left-hand side, got his cross come shot, looked like it was going in. For some reason, Danilo Orsi decided to get in the way on the goal line and handled it, and it got disallowed, which was very unfortunate for McCurdy because he was really off by the corner flag celebrating, to then turn around and realise that it had been ruled out. But yeah, like I say, Crewe rode their luck for large periods of this game, had to sustain a lot of possession and a lot of territory and give up a lot of chances, to be fair. But a lot of them were from outside the box. And then when their big opportunity came, Tommy O'Reilly converted it superbly well. So yeah, clinical Crewe, still in amongst it, aren't they, at the moment? On a decent run. I think it's 2 wins and 2 draws from their last 4. And then the other lunchtime kickoff on Saturday was pretty one-sided affair between Swindon Town and Oldham Athletic, and it finished 3-0 in favour of the home side. Goals from James Scanlon on his debut after 23 minutes. Fletcher Holman think that's his second in 6 games since joining on loan. He added to the tally on 73, and Aaron Drynan put the icing on top of the cake in injury time. So yeah, a scoreline that didn't really flatter Swindon at all. They were well worth their 3-0 win. Oldham, at the moment, just lost a lot of that defensive solidity. Myself and Lee have spoken in recent weeks about staying in contention and having a good January window, but I think their season's probably just drifting away a little bit now. Yeah, and they've conceded 8 in their last 3 games, which is concerning, considering how good they were in the early stages of the season. Didn't score a lot, but didn't concede hardly any at all. But yeah, Swindon comfortable, aside from a penalty that was saved by Connor Ripley. And yeah, deservedly took the points. Right, let's get back to the comments. Who've we got in the chat? Oh, there's plenty of it. Let me just scroll up a bit. Luca asked, what do I think of MK? I'll get to them in a little while, Luca, once we talk about them. No problem at all. We'll get to their game. SBR 19 GFC says, where is Lee? I already mentioned, mate, unfortunately, he's been called to work last minute, so it's just me this evening. He's having to do night shifts for the next few days, so a bit difficult to get out when you have just started your shift. Simon says, had a good weekend apart from the Oldham result again. Don't know what's happening. 3 losses, 3 goals for, 9 against. Yeah, I just mentioned, I thought it was 8, 9 is concerning because they had the best defensive record in the division for ages, the Latics. But now, not scoring and conceding plenty at the other end. That's a recipe for disaster, unfortunately, and they've looked to have dropped in the table. 30 of you now watching, which is excellent. Thank you very much. Please keep watching. Please keep liking, sharing, commenting. Nick Castleton, friend of the show, Gills fan. Evening, lads. Looking forward to my favourite Monday hour. Appreciate that as always, Nick. Hope you're feeling a bit better. Nick had to miss the game again. Picked up a second bug of the year already. So fingers crossed he is on the mend. The abandoned Hunter, better known as Smithy, is in the chat. Evening, buddy. Hope you're well. We've got Ian Brokesmith in the chat. He's got Yorkshire pies for dinner and Cardiff on the telly. Is that a live game tonight? Is that one just for, is that League One action? We do like it. There's a lot of people infiltrate down from League One, which we love to see. It shows that there's interest in the show. So really appreciate you watching, Ian. Yeah, that'd be a tough game, that one. Right, next one. James Marlon says, do we have to mention the Oldham game? Very poor once again. Yeah, just not clicking at the moment, is it, James? I noticed Mellon's not available at the moment. I'm assuming he's picked up an injury. Yeah, let us know. You and Simon, very good Oldham perspective of the game. So yeah, if you can give us more detail on that game, that'd be absolutely superb. We'll try and get that up on the screen. Luca thinks Gills be around the playoffs. Bromley looking good. Yeah, Bromley looking really good. Finley's back in the chat. Hi, Finley. Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope you're recovering from your recent operation. Unfortunately, no Lee tonight, but I will mention to him that you was in the chat saying evening. Who else have we got? Nick says he's on the mend. That's the main thing. Yeah, horrible time of year to be getting ill. Simon, just to give us more details on the Oldham game, says the issue is the right-hand side. Caprice right wing back and Daniels are so slow. We got exposed so many times on Saturday. Yeah, and they've got threats all over the park, haven't they, Swindon? It's not Drynan, it's Palmer. It's not Palmer, it's someone driving from midfield, Kilkenny. They've got good ball players, haven't they? Technically good players like Oldacre and Nichols when they play. Yeah, just a really good side. Hopefully that'll cheer Ian Holloway up. At least we won't have to hear him whinging for a few days. But no, love Ian Holloway, proper character. Mellon out for the season, says James. Blimey, didn't realise. Yeah, that's a real blow then, because I think you had a chance to, kick on in the second half of the season just a few weeks ago, but it's all gone a little bit flat, unfortunately. Right, let's look at the next few games. First of the 3 p.m. kickoffs was Bristol Rovers at home to Chesterfield, and this was a really entertaining game. At the Mem, there was a double for Shaq Ford, 28 from 58 minutes, which cancelled out Tom Naylor's early opener for the Spyrites. And it looked like it was going to be a really good day for Steve Evans' men against the playoff chasing Paul Cook's side. But They're made of sterner stuff at the moment on the road. Naylor scored his second on 61 minutes, and then James Berry scored a quite frankly outrageous winner on 78 minutes. And yeah, that stopped the Gases mini revival in its tracks, and that's now back-to-back away wins for Chesterfield as they sit just on the verge of the playoff spots. Yeah, coming good on the road at the right time. And if they can hold their home form together, you'd think that Chesterfield are going to be there or thereabouts. Got some injured players back as well. I know Markande and I think Dobra might have been out for a while. They both come back into the fold, I think, in recent weeks. Certainly Markande. So, yeah, Chesterfield a team to keep an eye on. And then for Luca, there was another 3-2 game. And again, it went the way of the away side at Wadden Road. And it was Cheltenham 2, MK Dons 3. Early goals from Curtis Nelson and Callum Patterson put the Dons in control after 37 minutes. But to be fair to Steve Cottrell's men, they got themselves back into the game in injury time through Jake Bickerstaff's injury time strike. Yeah, they had a bit of a go second half. MK Dons had to sit in for a little while. But yeah, they've just got too many good players. I think that's probably the story of this one. Marvin Ekpiteta, ex-Blackpool defender, added to the game's tally on 64 minutes to put Paul Warren's men 3-1 to the good. Despite a late curler from Isaac Hutchinson, it was another win for MK as they move ominously closer to the top of the table. Yeah, 13 points from the last 15 available for them. They really are running into some good form at a crucial time. The squad's absolutely ridiculous. You've got people that would probably walk into most League Two first 11s, can't even get in the 18 on a match day. So they're probably a team to be feared. And yeah, 4 losses on the spin, unfortunately, for the Robins. Had that really good spell, didn't they, after Cotterill took over in the autumn. But yeah, lost a few players in the window and it's just gone a little bit stale at the moment. But I think they've got enough about them and a good enough manager to mean that they won't be in any danger of relegation. And yeah, and then Colchester United played Shrewsbury Town, who were struggling at the JobServe Community Stadium. And after back-to-back defeats to nil, Colchester got themselves back to winning ways. Strikes from Will Goodwin on 4 minutes and Arthur Reed's absolute howitzer 8 minutes from the break made it a very comfortable afternoon for Danny Cowley's men. They ran out comfortable winners. Yeah, poor defending again from Shrewsbury. That's been a theme for their season. That's why they're down the bottom. It game proved costly. Same as Cheltenham, actually. I didn't mention that. One of their goals was really, really poor. Gave the ball away in a silly area. Yeah, Colchester back to winning ways, like I say, but starting to fear a little bit more for Shrewsbury Town. They've got rid of Michael Appleton, but this wasn't a good performance and certainly wasn't a good result. So they've taken 6 points from 33 on offer since the start of December. That is relegation form, whichever way you look at it. Concerning times for a team that came down from League One last season. Right, so we'll do some more comments. We have got... Oh yeah, Simon's just confirmed as well. Simon, sorry to hear that Mellon out for the season. He got injured at Walsall over the Christmas period. Yeah, that is a big, big blow, like I've already said to James. So going to be up to others to step up, isn't it, now, and try and fill the void that his goals provided earlier on in the season. Her father didn't like me, says, I see Nicky Kabamba after the weekend game. He's now 87 minutes per goal. He may not end up top scorer in League Two for the season, but I think he will walk minutes per... Yeah, he's clearly on top. I had it as, I think the app I used said he scored 10 goals in 900 minutes, so it's exactly a goal every game. But yeah, phenomenal record for a bloke who's apparently an understudy, and we spoke about him last week on the show, and we'll talk about him again because he's a very good footballer. It's almost a case, if Cheek doesn't get you, Kabamba will. And Bromley bandwagon keeps rolling on. That Spurs striker, Loney for Bristol Rovers. Is that Bristol Rovers? Can you expand on that one, please, mate? Let me know who you're talking about. There's a couple of Spurs players in attacking areas on loan in League Two at the moment. I think Bromley have got one. Do you mean the lad who scored 2 for the Gas, Shaquille Ford? Yeah, had a very good game, to be fair. Was in the running for player of the weekend. Did he get it? You'll have to stay tuned. Simon goes on to say, see Simon Bradshaw, Aka, Timu Narquin has made his debut for Bristol Rovers and assisted one of their goals, but they did still get beat. Yeah, I know we had a bit of a laugh, myself and Lee, about Joe Quigley last week, and we said that he's got a good agent and all that type of thing, but he offers some good aspects, doesn't he? He's big and he's strong. When he's at it, he can bring others into the game. He just doesn't do it enough. But yeah, that'd do him good in terms of confidence and getting a goal contribution early on. But yeah, I still don't have any confidence in him scoring any sort of number of goals. Neil Widdington is in the chat. Evening, Neil. Welcome, buddy. He says knots flying. Yes, they absolutely are. Beat Gills in the week. That was one of the rearranged games. There was only a couple of games last week. Notts County saw off Gills by a goal. It's a really soft goal from Gills' point of view, but Notts County, good players all over the park. Martin Patterson doing a really good job. And yeah, proving me very wrong. So fair play and good luck to Notts County. Jonathan is in the chat. Evening, Jonathan. Welcome, mate. With Mendes, Lang, Wilson, and Collar returning in March, reported Aaron Collins needs a goal, and I think he'll be on a run like Patterson. That's an absolutely terrifying thought for the rest of the division. Mendes, Lang, Wilson, and Collar to still come back into the reckoning for the running is absolutely frightening. Yeah, Collins hasn't quite worked out, but I don't think it matters when you've got the likes of Callum Patterson and you've got people like Mendes, Lang chipping in and Alex Gilby from deeper. Jonathan, what's your thoughts? You're in the chat if you're still there. Myself and Lee said last week, I think top three has to be the aim. If you don't get top three in automatic, then is it classed as a failure? Let me know what you think. Anyone else, let me know. MK Dons, do they have to finish in the top three? No pate A for Shaman, says the Moroccan lad. Yeah, again, do we have a name, mate? Because there's plenty of players in League Two. I try to keep up with all of them. I would give him till the end of the season, Simon. This is his reaction to Simon's question about how long do you give Mickey Mellon in charge. There was a 2-year deal ready to be signed, though. I think you'd be silly to get rid of him. Myself and Lee have said over and over, like, if you stay up this season, and you'll be fairly comfortable. There's plenty of worse teams than Oldham Athletic in League Two. Then you can look and reevaluate and see where you want to go next season, whether you want to be a mid-table side or you want to push on and try and get into the playoffs or something like that. So I don't think there's any need to panic with Mickey Mellon. He's done a great job, number one, getting you up, and you're still well clear of the danger zone in League Two. So for me, nothing needs to be done at the moment. Daz Snowman's in the chat. He says, evening, Matt. So happy we have a Cody in Ronan. Yes, lots of talk about Ronan Howe and his comparisons to Cody McDonald. For those who are fans of the EFL and watched in the 2010s, played for Gills, obviously Coventry, Norwich as well, in the EFL. So if we can get anywhere near that goal return from Ronan Howe, we'll be absolutely fine. Simon's not so sure on Mickey Mellon. James, we need a manager with a fresh angle, no hoofball tactics. So a lot of teams play, Simon. It's not pretty, but it can be effective if you can get the right players into that system and that type of style. DFT Lewis says Dons absolutely have to finish top three. If they don't win the league, that is still underachieving with that. I don't think winning the league has to be the only way they don't fail. I think they've got to go up. That would have been the aim. Whether it's first, second, or third, I think they have to do that. Playoffs, I'd say, was a failure. We've got to reel in a very good Bromley team first and foremost, though, who are absolutely flying. Smithy, the abandoned hunter, says, yes, MK Dons have to finish in top three with their budget. Yep, so it seems that's... cheers, mate. Thank you. The name of the lad is Camrich. Not one I've seen at the moment, unfortunately, mate, but appreciate you putting his name in the chat. Jonathan says, fully agree, Matt. Anything less than third is a failure. Feel that the home games versus Bromley and Barnet, plus away fixtures at Cambridge, Walsall, Salford and Swindon will be critical. Yeah, big games there, aren't they? Bromley could, depending on where you play it, that could be an absolute title decider eventually, but obviously there's still a long way to go at the moment, 17, 18 games to go. But yeah, some real tasty ones there. Then we'll find out how good MK Dons are. Smithy says that Oldham can have Matt Sadler. Yeah, what's your thoughts, mate? Obviously, I've said plenty of times, Matt Sadler's always a manager at Walsall who seems to be 1 or 2 games away from an absolute crisis, and it turned at the weekend. We'll get to your game in a little while, but yeah, atmosphere inside the Bescott Stadium was not good throughout the game. And our game in hand in Kent, obviously, says Jonathan. Yes, come to the Gills, I think, start of March. Having seen that game postponed back in January due to MK's run in the FA Cup. Still 30 plus watching, which is really, really good. This was the name I mentioned to Lee last week, I think, Simon. Pete Wild, yeah, obviously got an affinity to Oldham, I believe. That would be a really good appointment. But again, I still think you need to give Mellon the season. I don't think you're in any danger, like I say, to see where he takes you. And then there might be other managers available in the summer as well, mightn't there? So it then gives you more options, a bigger pool to choose from, so to speak, if that's the route you want to go down. Right, we'll do some more games. Where do we get to? Fleetwood Town 1, table topping Bromley 2. But they had to do it the hard way in this one, the Ravens, and come from behind at Highbury. It was Mark Helm's strike on 64 minutes that put the Cod Army in front. Well, Nicky Kabamba came off the bench, as he does, to equalise on 68 minutes. And just when you thought the winning run was coming to an end, Jude Arthur's popped up in the 91st minute to win it for Andy Woodman's men to keep that 6-point gap, I think it is, at the top. 5 or 6. We'll have a look later in more detail. But they keep rolling on. Yeah, as we've already mentioned, there was one comment as well, so thank you for that, about Nicky Kabamba's goals to minutes ratio. Absolutely ridiculous. Double figures now from just 900 minutes playing time is absolutely astonishing, regardless of level, regardless of division. Cod Army have won 4 points from 24 available since beating Gillingham on the 20th of December. They are struggling. That is why they sacked Pete Wild, although I didn't agree with that decision at all. And yeah, lots of work to do. Sold their best players, didn't really replace them with anything substantial in the window. On a bit of a slippery slope are Fleetwood Town at the moment. Next game was my team, Gillingham against Tranmere Rovers. And we made it 3 wins in 5 with a 2-1 victory courtesy of Ronan Hale's double coming on his full home debut. Goals on 25 and 65 minutes. The first, a really smart swiveled volley when the ball dropped to him in the box. And then an equally impressive header from a corner just past the hour put us in control. And then we went a little bit defensive. Looked like we sat on what we had a little bit too much, dropped too deep. Tranmere scored a decent goal on 78 minutes by the impressive Charlie Whittaker. Really good finish into the bottom corner. But yeah, Rovers had plenty of ball in the final stages of the game, but Glenn Morris, I don't think, had a serious save to make. So I think we definitely deserved the points based on the volume of chances we had and the quality of chances we had. Like I said, 3 wins in 5 for the Gills now. They start to pick up a little bit, but do need to become a lot more consistent if they want to get anywhere near those playoff places. Rovers have lost 6 on the spin. Their only win in 2026 was against Harrogate, who up until this weekend hadn't won since September. So that's the story of Tranmere at the moment. Lots of unrest. If anyone watched my match preview with the Tranmere fan Alfie, middle of last week, lots of unrest towards the owner, Mark Palios. Manager Andy Crosby working with his hands tied behind his back, they think. But what do we think? Is Andy Crosby under pressure? Regardless of situation and circumstance, after not winning for 6 games a single point, surely you become a little bit under the cosh at least. Right, let's do some more comments. Back on the Mickey Mellon, will they, won't they chat. James says, am still Mellon in. We had 5 weeks to build a squad for League Two. I think Mellon was ready for another season in the National League and he got players in ready for fight for promotion, but luckily we got up. Yeah, that's a fair point. You have to remember that Oldham's season didn't finish until June. I think the playoff final was the first weekend in the 6th month of the year. Probably had to be back in for pre-season 3.5, 4 weeks after that, and chuck in a celebration as well, and a transfer recruitment policy that had to change last minute potentially. So I think Mellon's done a really good job based on a lot of different circumstances. Whether he's the man to take you forward into League One or whatever your aims are, I think he deserves a bit more time. This is probably your first really, really poor run in terms of, not scoring, conceding too many at the other end. James says he thinks Pete Wild would be a no-no, never been promoted as a manager. Records there to be broken though, James, I suppose, but understand your point. Fleetwood will win on Saturday, maybe. Look who they play. I've not looked, but I'm assuming they might be playing Oldham Athletic. Father didn't like me says it's seen a few bookmakers offering 4-1 on Barnet getting promoted. Yeah, they're right in the mix, aren't they? One at the weekend puts them 10th. Same games as Walsall in 7th and just 3 points adrift. So they're right in the mix, Dean Brennan's men, having a very good campaign. Would you take the 4-1? DFT Lewis says, was a very nervy last few minutes for Gills, but we thought we played well. Beckles was outstanding. Yeah, I've been impressed with Beckles both games, even in the defeat at Notts County. The goal was nothing to do with him, and I thought he sort of coached Travis Ackermere through the game superbly well, and he did that Saturday, and I like that partnership. I'm not saying they're our best two centre-backs individually. I think Sam Gale is a very good centre-back, Connor Masterson when fit, but I like the fact that they're two big, imposing central defenders that will go and win everything, go and head everything. And you've got Omar Beckles, 34, loads of experience, loads of games. And at the other end of the spectrum, you've got Travis Ackermere making his way in the game on loan from Watford. But yeah, both of them not afraid to do the physical side of the game. And they had to do that at the weekend up against Joe Ironside. They had to do it last weekend to a degree against Matty Dennis. Maybe not so much if it had been maybe an Alassana Jatta. It may have been a more physical game. But yeah, the partnership showing very early signs, albeit it is only 2 games. Greg the Fish is back in the comments and says, I think Gills' hopes of getting the playoffs are a bit far-fetched, as much as I wish it would happen. Bit too late for that now. Yeah, I was actually having a looking at this today, mate, and we've probably got to earn 22 more points. I think the average over the last 5 seasons for 7th in League Two is 73 points. But the last 2 seasons, 70 has been enough to get in there. So you're depending on which way you look at it. It's not impossible, but I'd say at the moment it's still improbable. 17 games to go, probably got to win 8, draw 6, only lose 3 to get to 73 points. Are we consistent enough to do that? I'd say probably not at the moment, but this team comes alive in the spring. We know that from when Gareth Ainsworth took over last season and we took 15 points from 9 games. But yeah, I still think it's a bit of a tall order. I still think come the end of February, we'll have a much better idea. We've still got a few games to play, haven't we? So 1st of March can probably answer that question a bit more definitively. SBR says Beckles has made a big impact in the Gills defence. Yeah, I think so. I thought we deserved a clean sheet at the weekend. I was desperate for that. Unfortunately, you can't legislate for teams scoring good goals. So it's one of them things. But yeah, I think we've looked really good with him in the side. And like I say, that experience and that know-how can only hope help the team moving forward. And to be honest, 34 is, it's not like he's done, is he, after this season? 34 is no age to be playing at professional level these days. Right, a couple more comments, then we'll get back to the games. The Abandoned Hunter says, for me, Mellon needs to be judged on next season. He has consolidated this after promotion. See how they fare up next season before. Yeah, I think that's absolutely the right decision. Like we've already mentioned, the factors behind getting promoted probably wasn't expected. Playoffs finishing really late going into June, the game at Wembley. You then probably had to reevaluate your whole transfer policy because you, like someone said, you was probably looking at teams and players to recruit from for the National League because they came into the playoffs very late. So yeah, you've got to give him a full pre-season, I think, like a proper one, sort of middle of June through to the season starting. So yeah, I think that's a really fair assessment of what the approach should be to Mickey Mellon. Greg the Fish said he was sceptical of the Beckles signing before we got him, but seeing him actually brought that experience we needed in defence. Yeah, and we have to remember it's only 3 years ago he captained Leyton Orient to win this very division, so he knows how to get out of this league. We've got Huddersfield fan Noah's in the chat. Evening, buddy. Hope you're well. He says, as a Huddersfield fan, my ideal League Two promotions would be Cambridge, Cole U, and MK Dons. Can you expand why? New grounds? Favourite Scran? Not too far from you? Yeah, let us know. He also asked, who do you think will come up from the National League? Been having this chat with Lee for quite a while. Lee's adamant it'll be York. He said they've got a lot of momentum, but Rochdale, I think, are 2 points clear now with 2 games in hand. Difficult to look past either of them, but if I had to say one of the 2 at the moment, I'd say Rochdale just. I think that'd be great for their fans. They've struggled in the Football League for years. It'd be great for them to have a campaign that's seen them win a lot of football matches, but also see something tangible at the end of it with a promotion. Plus, Lee sent me photos of the fish and chips from the famous fish shop outside the ground. So if they go up, we know where we're going for food next season. If we don't get in the playoffs and win that, obviously. Right, we shall go back to the games. We are halfway through this one. Still 30 plus watching, so thank you very much. Please continue to press like, hype, all that jazz. Share it on social media afterwards to get the word out there. Next game on Saturday afternoon was a game that was known as the Coupon Buster, the game that threw form out the window and turned football on its head completely. Harrogate Town, who had not won a football match since the 27th of September, had barely scored a goal in that time either. 1-2-1 against Cambridge, who'd not lost since the end of October. League 2A. Goals from Bryn Morris on 8 minutes and Emerson Sutton, loanee from QPR, on 24 put Harrogate 2-0 up. Liam Bennett pulled one back for Neil Harris's men 4 minutes after that. But the Sulphurites gave themselves some hope and hung on to win by 2-1. I think they're still bottom of the league, but the gap to Shrewsbury now in 22nd is only a couple of points, so it's getting very tasty at the bottom. Definitely approaching squeaky bum time, aren't we? So yeah, massive win for Simon Weaver. We've had a chat about him in recent weeks, whether we think he should go, whether we think he would have gone if his dad wasn't the chairman already. But yeah, huge win. Like we've said, form table went out the window there, both at polar opposite ends, but it was Harrogate who came out on top. There was a game between Newport County and Grimsby Town that finished 0-0. Tale of 2 penalty saves from Jackson Smith and then Jordan Wright. Draw not too good for either side. But it keeps Grimsby's unbeaten run going. It's another clean sheet for them. Newport probably stops the rot after losing 2 games heavily after picking up that impressive win against Chesterfield a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, 2 more games to go, so we'll do some more comments. Smithy thinks Gills will be the team to come late burst for the playoffs this season. Does happen, doesn't it? We've seen it. We saw Doncaster a couple of years ago go from sort of 18th in February to the playoffs. I remember Barnsley doing it years ago, coming from sort of 2nd, 3rd bottom to get promoted. Hope you're right, mate. Hope you're right. Not seen enough yet to be convinced. If we can pick up maybe 3 wins from the last 4 games in February, I might start changing my mind a little bit. Pob wants to know, is Andy Crosby the next manager to go? Got to be high on the list, isn't he? There's not managers teams down there that have not rolled the dice this season. Newport have rolled the dice, Shrewsbury have rolled the dice, Barrow have rolled the dice, Bristol Rovers, Cheltenham have rolled the dice. There's not many that haven't changed things to try and get that new manager bounce, so has to be under pressure. Yeah, like I said earlier, if there's any Tranmere fans, let us know your thoughts. If not, anyone's welcome to comment, as always. Father didn't like me, says Ronan Howe seems to have a useful knack of not straying offside, as his first goal showed. Very mobile looking too. Yeah, really impressed. I think there was a Tranmere fan I saw on TikTok was complaining about corrupt refereeing, saying it was offside, but there was 3 players playing him on, so never mind. From a Tranmere point of view, but yeah, really good volley as well. Awareness in the box. I think I looked online. He had 18 touches, Ronan Howe, but 2 of them have scored goals. So comes alive when it's most important. And yeah, he's probably had 6 really good chances in 3 appearances. I think he had a header and an effort with his right foot well saved against Bromley, albeit the game was done. Probably should have scored against Notts County. He had 2 really good chances, didn't he? Particularly the second one. And yeah, took his goals really well at the weekend. So back to the comment about Gills maybe being the team to go on a run and get in the playoffs. Do we think someone like Ronan Howe could be a player that makes the difference? He's one behind the rest of our strikers already. He's only played 3 times. He's got 2. All our others have got 3, and they've been there all season. So could Ronan Howe be the difference maker in Gillingham's season? We shall wait and see. Oh, Noah says live in Norwich, so close enough away days. Yeah, fair enough, mate. I feel that because everything's miles for Gills, apart from probably 3 or 4 away days in the entire calendar. Anyways, Oldham lads, we will have our local rivals back in League 2 yet, potentially. Smithy thinks Rochdale to come up as champions from the National League. James, the Oldham fans, says very much looking likely Dogdale will come up. Feeling the love between Oldham and Rochdale. And they think York will win the playoffs, yeah. Simon's just talking about the chip shop as well. Yeah, the Chippy Lee went to. That's the one. Yeah, he sent me the photo, mate. just as I was tucking into a sausage roll. Yeah, it looked incredible, didn't it? So yeah, be some nice food because it looks like we may lose Harrogate's world famous pie. So if we can replace that with an excellent fish and chip shop, then happy days. DFT Lewis says he really hopes that Cambridge go up. Was gutted when Neil was sacked. Until Ainsworth, we hadn't had a better manager since. Glad to see him doing well. Has apparently, if social media is true, been linked to the Blackburn job this evening. So that might be one to keep an eye on. Of course, has managed in the Championship previously with Millwall, probably similar budgets. So that could be something, like I say, to keep an eye on. Simon says Rochdale have had 3 wins against teams around them in the table recently, and they play Forest Green at home on Wednesday. Another massive game here, because I've still got 2 games in hand, I think, over plenty. So if they can take 4 points from them games in hand, they could be 6, 7 points clear, and then it'd be really tough to reel them in. Right, who have we got next? Greg the Fish just Gills. If there is a playoff bid for Gills, Hales will 100% be the difference maker. Right, more comments to come in a minute. We've still got 2 games to get through before we look at goals of the week. Notts County against Barrow finished 2-1 in favour of the home side. There was a Scott Smith own goal to put the Pies in front. But Charlie McCann smashed home an outrageous equaliser on half hour to get the away side back on level terms. But it was the home team who won it on 58 minutes when Matthew Dennis turned in his 10th or 12th goal of the season. So yeah, 6 on the spin for Martin Patterson's men now. They are going through the gears at the right time. Moved into the automatic promotion places last week and stayed there with their win on Saturday. While the Bluebirds are very much at the other end of the form table. They've lost 5 in a row and only won 1 of their last 14 in League Two. They have changed manager. Has it worked? I'm not really sure. Is Andy Wing a worse manager than Paul Gallagher has replaced him? I'm not really sure. Sometimes you have to roll the dice, don't you? Yeah, there's just a few teams that I fear for a little bit. If Newport and or Harrogate could put a little run together, I think the likes of Barrow and Shrewsbury, Crawley, even Bristol Rovers still could be banging trouble. And the final game of the weekend was played out at the Bescott Stadium, and it was not the best atmosphere if he was a Sadlers fan. It finished Walsall 1, Barnet 3. Goals from Adam Senior and Idris Carnu. Either side of the half-time whistle were met with lots of booing from the home fans who are clearly unhappy with their current form, clearly unhappy with their manager, Matt Sadler. Despite Daniel Carnu pulling one back on 64 minutes, they was only 2-1 down for 4 minutes before Kabongo Shimanga scored his 4th goal in 5 games for the Bees to put the game to bed. Yeah, already mentioned audible boos after each goal. Not a nice atmosphere to be involved in if you were of a Walsall persuasion in that one. The Bees were good value for the win, now up to 10th and within striking distance of the playoff places. Sadlers have earned just 7 points from 8 games since Boxing Day. Another manager who surely is under pressure. What are we thinking, Smithy? I know you're in the chat. If there's any more Walsall fans, let me know. Is time up for Matt Sadler? Is it a case of deja vu? Are we about to see another collapse in January and February? Could this one be worse than last season? Are you going to fall out of the playoffs completely? Right, back to the comments. Lots of talk on Ronan Howe, which I don't mind because he had a very good game on Saturday. I think that's what we've been missing. Got good players, but not had a striker that can score. Vokes can, but we can't play him as often as Cook. That was my choice as a front pairing for the weekend. So we didn't quite get it as a natural 2. But we had them both on the pitch at the same time. Vokes was unlucky with a couple of efforts as well, wasn't he? Thought he was unluckily bought off because he was playing well at the time. Bob 5000 says Ronan has a look of Cody about him. Really like what I see. Yeah, early days. Don't want to put too much pressure on him, do we? But early signs. And he also says that he hopes Harrogate have a surge towards the end of the season and save the EFL's best food. It is stunning. Oh, Lee's going to hate missing this one. We talked about fish and chips. We talked about pie. Talked about mash. Bit of football as well. Got it all covered. 6-pointer tomorrow night is Shrewsbury versus Barrow. Yeah, that's a huge game down the bottom if that one's going ahead. And Greg the Fish back again says if Sadler falls a game for a 2nd season in a row after coming so close in 2 seasons, and I can't see it. No, there just becomes a point where you have to say maybe that's his ceiling and you have to get someone else. It's mad because we're sitting here talking about Mickey Mellon and saying we shouldn't be sacking him when they're 16th, 17th in the table. and then we're saying maybe you sack a manager who's side of 7th, but it's the same thing that's happened again, isn't it? Top of the league, Christmas, and then form just falls off the edge of a cliff. Last year, they did well enough to get into the playoffs and get to Wembley, but didn't really turn up in the final. And if form continues at the moment, they're not even going to finish in the top 7. So one to keep an eye on again. Yeah, wouldn't want to be Andy Crosby or Matt Sadler at the moment. Right, time for goals of the week. And there was plenty of honourable mentions in this one. Tommy O'Reilly's smart volley for Crewe to win the game at Crawley was a very good strike. Isaac Hutchinson's curler against MK Dons, lost my train of thought there, was a really good strike. It's something that we've seen from him plenty of times over the years, but wasn't enough to get his side anything from the game, unfortunately. Bryn Morris and Emerson Sutton scored good goals for Harrogate in their huge win against Cambridge. Charlie McCann decided to rip the net off for Barrow against Notts County. And yeah, Charlie Whittaker's goal was decent at our place for Tranmere. Ronan Howe's finish was smart. Both of his finishes were smart. But my top 3 this week, in 3rd place was James Berry of Chesterfield for his outrageously acrobatic and unorthodox volley from an improbable angle, which not only was a brilliant goal in itself, but it won the game. And it was right in front of the away fans as well. So really special moment for him, really special moment for the Spyrites fans as they continue to batter on the door of the playoff places. 2nd, Arthur Reed for Colchester. Terrific effort from the edge of the box after being teed up. Went like an absolute homing missile into the top corner as his side ran out comfortable winners against Shrewsbury Town. But this week's goal of the weekend goes to Alex Henderson of Accrington in Thursday night's live game. Absolutely stunning volley from around 25, 30 yards into the top corner to help his side pick up a 3rd win in 3 games. Yeah, phenomenal strike from Henderson. So he gets my vote this week for goal of the weekend. We'll now move on to player of the week. Don't forget to let us know yours as well. Your best goals, your favourite players, all that type of thing. But my choice for player of the weekend is coming up on the screen about now. And it was Barnet's Idris Kanu, who had an excellent game. It was coming up on the screen. There we go. Idris Kanu, who helped his side win 3-1 at Walsall as they continue to hunt down the top 7. Yeah, constant threat throughout the Bees win. He's been there a while now. I think he's been there 3 or 4 years, Kanu. I think he's been linked to Gills in previous windows. Plays out wide, can operate as a wing-back or a winger. Really, really good on his day. Almost unplayable when he's in the mood. Was involved in 2 of the 3 goals for Dean Brennan's men, scoring 1 and setting 1 up. Played 90 minutes. He had 60 touches throughout those 90 minutes. He had an 82% pass completion ratio, completed 2 key passes, provided an assist, 80% dribble completion, 6 shots, 3 of which were on target, hit the woodwork as well, scored his goal, and then out of possession, won 85% of his ground duels, completed 5 ball recoveries and 4 defensive contributions on top of that as well. So a really good afternoon for Barnet and a really good afternoon for my player of the week, Idris Kanu. Right, any more comments? Let us know your player of the week. Accrington goalkeeper was really good. That's one nomination. If there's anyone else who's got anyone different, let us know. But in the meantime, we shall bring up the League 2 table. And then after that, as promised, we're going to have a look at top scorers. But yeah, here we go in all its teletext glory. Bottom 2 is still made up of Newport County and Harrogate. They are both on 21 points, but picked up decent results at the weekend. Huge win for Harrogate to get them level on points with the team immediately above them. And Newport, creditable draw at home to Grimsby. And just above them, it is Shrewsbury nervously looking over their shoulder on 23 points. You've got Barrow, who continue to fall after another defeat on 24 points in 21st. Crawley sit 20th with 26 points. You then got Bristol Rovers, who are unlucky to not get anything from their game, but ultimately got beat. 18th, Cheltenham, there's a little gap of 3 points between them and 19th place Gas. Tranmere, who lost in Kent, 32 points. Oldham 16th, Fleetwood 15th, Gillingham 14th, and Accrington top of the bottom half at the moment, but the gap between 14th and 7th is just 8 points, and people do have games in hand over Walsall. So again, they will be looking nervously over their shoulder. Crew sit ninth, but they've played an extra game to everybody on 31 games. Sorry, yeah, below that you've got Grimsby in 12th, Colchester 11th, and Barnet in 10th. Crew in 9th, as we mentioned, Chesterfield just outside the playoff places, a point behind Walsall in 7th. They are joined in that little group of 4 by Salford City, who drop out the top 2 or 3. Cambridge, who drop as well, and MK Dons. The top 3 is Swindon on 55 points, Notts County on 57, and Bromley continue to go along very nicely. They are on 62 points and have a 5-point cushion to second, and more importantly, an 8-point cushion to the playoffs. Is it Bromley's to lose? That's another question for everyone. Having lost just 4 games in 30, they'd probably have to lose more than that in their last 16 to fall out of the top 3. So, is it Bromley's title to throw away? James has given us a nomination for Player of the Week. He says Connor Ripley was good for Swindon. Yeah, saved a penalty. I can't remember what the score was when he saved that, but yeah, he had a good afternoon, kept a clean sheet. Very good goalkeeper at the level for me. Simon just responds to that and says he was very good, James. I don't know what's happened to Matt Hudson, though. Yeah, Matt Hudson was super impressive first half of the season. I think he had 10 clean sheets by the turn of the year, didn't he? And there was talk of maybe a January move away, but yeah, along with Oldham's defensive record at the moment, is not quite as good as he was a few weeks ago. Right, as promised, for the 31 of you that are still watching, we are going to talk top scorers. It's something we've been waiting to do. James says he doesn't think it's Hudson, it's the players in front of him. Yeah, you can't always just blame the keeper for goals conceded. There's loads of moving parts to these situations, isn't there? Yeah, top scorers. So I've written down the top 20 in League Two at the moment, and we'll do it in reverse order. So on 7 goals, you've got Mika Mbick and Harry Anderson of Colchester, Bradley Dack of Gillingham, Ben Thompson of Bromley, and Nathaniel Mendez-Lang of MK Dons. Interestingly, you class 4 of them as midfielders that are having really good seasons. On 8, you've got a trio of players: Barnett's Kabongo Shimanga, Crew Alexander's Emre Tezgel, and Alex Gilby of MK Dons. You then got Jay's Kabia of Grimsby, Salford City's Ryan Graydon, albeit a lot of them goals were for Fleetwood, and Charlie Whittaker, Tranmere midfielder. They are all on 9. As we move into double figures, you've got Fabrizio Caven, Nicky Kabamba, Kyrese Lisby of Bristol Rovers, Bromley and Colchester respectively. They've all got 10 at the moment. You then got Alassana Jatta on 12 for Notts County. His teammate Matthew Dennis, 1 above him on 13, along with Daniel Carnu of Walsall. 14 for both Callum Patterson and Michael Cheek of MK Dons and Bromley. But away and clear at the moment is Aaron Drynan of Swindon. He's up to 18 already. He's having an absolutely phenomenal season. I want to ask, who do we think could be a dark horse for top scorer in the second half of the season? I think it's going to be difficult to reel in the likes of Drynan, Cheek, Patterson. But if you had to pick someone that could go on a run between now and the end of the season to get themselves in contention, who would you pick? I will leave that with you, and we shall do some more comments. Yeah, Pop 5000 said Drynan for Swindon had a good game with a goal and assist. Yeah, very good again. He's having a phenomenal campaign. David's in the chat, David Hutchinson. Sorry, gentlemen, late arrival. Greetings from Canada. Evening, mate. Hope you're well. Sorry, no Lee tonight. Unfortunately, he is at work, so you have to just put up with my dulcet tones for the next few minutes. Patterson for MK Dons, white hot currently. Yeah, really, really good. I think I saw a stat that said there's no player in England or something that's got more goal contribution since the turn of the year. He's absolutely flying. Too good for League Two, I think, in my opinion, as are a lot of MK Dons squad. But yeah, it's good to see that there's plenty of midfielders in there, and it's good to see that there's a few that are 30 plus that are still flying the flag, aren't there? You've got the likes of Michael Cheek at 35, Callum Patterson, another one the wrong side of 30. I think Kabamba's 30. Bradley Dack obviously had loads of injury problems, barely featured for Gillingham last season, but he's having a really good campaign in that number 10 role. Nathaniel Mendez-Lang, another good player who was championship not so long ago. Then you've got a couple of up-and-coming players, haven't you, in Mika Mbick, Colchester, Kyrese Lisby, who was rumoured to be moving to League One in the window, doing really well. Jay's Cabia having a decent campaign, having jumped up from, I think, National League South with Truro last season. He's got 9. Will only get better learning from someone like Andy Cook. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting end to the season. The race for is it the Red Boot? Something to do with the sponsors, which doesn't sound great. But it'll always be the Golden Boot to me. Graydon, if he can kick on and continue that form from Fleetwood, he could help Salford get into the top 3. Dan Carnu, can he help Walsall find their form again? Because he's had a good individual season. But yeah, you've got to look at the names in here and the clubs they play for, and you can see it's no coincidence that MK Dons are right up there. I've got 3 players in the top 20 in Patterson, Gilby and Mendes Lang. And Mendes Lang's not played for a while. Bromley have got 3 in the top 20. Thompson on 7. Kabamba 10. Cheek 14. Drynan's the interesting one because there's no other Swindon player in the top 20. But they've got the likes of Ollie Palmer, and like I said earlier, they've got threats from wide, they've got threats from centre midfield. Got Will Wright, centre back, who's great with set pieces and corners and penalties. So they tend to spread it around. But would anyone be concerned for Swindon if Drynan's goals dried up between now and the end of the campaign? Because they are in the automatic spaces at the moment. James says that Kavanagh for Oldham is going to go on a great run and score in every match from now on. I will have half a pint of what you're drinking, my friend. And Simon says, yeah, if he gets service. Yep. Again, similarly to it's easy to blame goalkeepers if you concede too many. You can't always just blame the strikers if you're not scoring. You have to look at those that are providing service. But yeah, some really good players at the end of the day in that top 20, isn't there? And good variety of players as well. You've got the out-and-out strikers. You've got those wide attackers. You've got attacking midfielders. I watched Ben Thompson dismantle us last weekend, making an absolute mocker of our back 5, scoring 3. And the last one was an absolute belter as well. Daki scored in that game. Shabanga, like I say, is an interesting one. Wasn't sure about that move, but it's clear that the way Barnett plays suited to him, and he's got 4 in 5, so he's having a great campaign. Came from a poor Crawley side as well, so you'd back him to get to at least double figures now. I think we've mentioned everyone, haven't we? Yeah, just some really, really good names in there. Obviously, Ronan Hale might get himself into the top 20 if we can provide him some sort of service, and you never know, it could be a new signing for any club that scores 6, 7 or 8 between now and the end of the season, can move you up to where you want to be ultimately, whether that's getting you away from the bottom 2 or getting you away from mid-table into the top half, or dare I say it, getting you into the playoff places. It's there's still lots of football to be played. I'm sure there'll be lots of twists and turns between now and game 46, but it will soon come around. Be in March in a couple of weeks. Then you get to Easter, and before you know it, you're down to half a dozen games. But yeah, appreciate everyone's comments tonight, everybody watching. I know it's tough when it's just me. Get used to me and Lee bouncing off each other, and I get that. So appreciate everyone trying to comment as much, putting in questions, putting in ideas and that type of thing. We've still got over 30 of you watching, so thank you to every one of you. Pod 5000 says Quigley will come good for Rovers. I'm not sure what that emoji is. Is that a sarcastic face? Is that a thing? Can you do a sarcastic emoji? I'm not sure. If he does, good luck to him. Absolutely good luck to him. And good luck to Bristol Rovers. But I still can't believe that Bristol Rovers paid £150,000 for him personally. Right. Going to call full time on this one a little bit early tonight. We've got through absolutely everything, as I say, every single week. Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for commenting, sharing. Like I say, if you can go and share it on social media, whether that's Facebook, X, Instagram, wherever, me and Lee do really appreciate it, because the more people we get to see it, the more people we get to watch, and then it makes the shows more interactive. Simon's just commented and said it was still entertaining tonight, mate. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Yeah, I had to fly solo. But I always say, work and life is more important than these hobbies that we do. But yeah, wanted to get content out still. James says, really enjoyed the show tonight, Matt. Thank you, James. Appreciate that. Pop says, cheers, Matt. No worries at all. Really enjoyed it. It's great to see that we've got a regular pool of viewers now. So yeah, if we can keep increasing that, like I was saying, then the shows get bigger, they get better. We keep tweaking it. Right, full time from me, like I say. Unfortunately, no Lee, like we've already mentioned a few times, but I am Matt. This has been the League 2 Hour. Thank you, as always, for watching. We will see you next Monday.